States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Councilman Norman, would you please lead us in a prayer?
Please bow with me. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings that you've given our community. Please help guide our mayor and this council to make the right decisions, as well as our president and the national elected officials, as well as state. Please guide us as we move forward. Please keep our community safe. And thank you for all these things. Amen.
Amen. Clerk, please give us a roll call.
Fennell.
Present.
Eubank.
Present.
Goins.
Yes, ma'am.
Gross. Here. Honeycutt.
Here.
Kirkpatrick.
Yes, ma'am.
Lowry.
Here.
Neal.
Here.
Norman.
Here.
Norris.
Here.
Trigg. Witcher.
Here.
All present.
You have the minutes of the January 28th City Council meeting before you. If there's no changes or deletions that's required, I'd entertain a motion to accept those minutes.
Mayor Armstrong?
Yes.
In the minutes relating to the motion concerning the $6.5 million bond issue, that motion should read the second reading approval instead of first reading.
Okay, noted. Is there any other changes? With that change made, do I have a motion to accept the minutes as with the change?
Motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Benell. Do I have a second? Second. Second by Councilman Witcher. All those approved signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those like sign that do not approve.
Hey, Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to suspend the rules, and I'd like to make a motion to remove D.T. Froge as an EPB board member on the basis of we now have $400,000 worth of refinancing of our bonds that are in suspense. I'd also like to have discussion under holding maybe a potential illegal violation of open records meeting law that he admitted that he, in the paper, that he had met with two of the board members.
I'll second that. I'm not sure what's going on.
Pardon me?
Should this be two separate things? You made one motion to suspend the change the order, right? What was your first motion?
My first point was I wanted to suspend the rules, and then I wanted to make a motion.
Point of order, let's check and see if that's possible. Just a moment. Take just a short recess to make sure we can do that. had a motion to suspend the rules, and we will have to have a roll call vote to determine, and it's not debatable, and it's not amendable, so we'll have to have a roll call vote to see whether the rules shall be suspended, and that takes a 2/3 majority. So we'll have to have a roll call to determine whether or not we're gonna suspend the rules and listen to a motion. Those in favor, well, she'll do a roll call, each one of them.
And you, Joe, you seconded that?
Right. Yes, ma'am. Shouldn't we finish the other business first and this move to the end?
You can't.
We can.
All right.
It's been brought up, we have to vote on it right now, see whether or not we are gonna suspend them.
Benel,
Yes.
Eubank,
Yes.
Gantz,
Yes.
Gross,
Yes.
Honeycutt,
Yes.
Kirkpatrick,
Yes.
Lowry,
Yes.
Neal,
Yes.
Norman,
Yes.
Norris,
Yes.
Trigg,
Yes.
Witcher,
Yes.
all in favor.
All in favor, the rules will be suspended. Now you can give your motion, Councilman Goss.
Okay. My motion would be to make a motion to remove D.T. Froge as an EPB board member for this reason. There's now $400,000 that will be laid on the back of our Citizens Electric Plant Board if this doesn't get resolved. Secondly, I'm not sure that there is stated in the paper from Mr. Froge's testimony, he had met with two other board members, and they were a majority. I believe that there's potential for violation of the open meetings law, which he has admitted. And thirdly, his answer was that this is political and you need to move forward and resign or be removed.
Clarify the bonds.
Bonds are the refinance of the bonds. They have already been refinanced.
Right.
They haven't closed. They were at 3.994. They're at 293 now. That number equates to $400,000. That it's in suspense right now because it's unclarity of what's going on at the EPB board.
He's not going to second to the motion. He needs to repeat the motion so she can get that.
I think he needs I'll give him a second so we can have discussion.
Okay.
So, and I mean, I don't know if I can ask the question. Can I ask a question now?
Well, right, that's what we need a second, I think.
Okay, you got a second.
I have a second.
We got a second.
We got, Marlon, you're our representative of this body. So it quoted you in there that y'all had discussion.
We have not.
Okay, so that was a lie,
That was
right?
a lie.
Okay, so Mr. Froge is lying in the
I
paper.
didn't say that.
Well, wait a minute, it's gotta
Three
be,
of us
he
agree.
said it in the paper.
Wait a minute, we're not having a question and answer.
Okay,
You
got it.
ask him a question, if he
Okay.
wants to answer it, he can answer it.
Fair
The
enough.
three of us have not met.
Okay,
That would be a quorum, right?
yep,
We have not met.
okay. That clear, checks that
In
box.
fact, I told her that also,
Okay,
so she misquoted me.
Okay?
that's between you and her. If
You have
you and I
a question?
can't go back and forth, I don't think you and her
You have
can.
questions, you have a question. Now
Yeah, and I
we
got the
can
second question. I
vote
mean-
on your motion.
Well, I'd like to ask a question, if I may, Mayor. Councilman Gantz, with your statement there, the 400,000, why would the bond still be in suspense? I thought that had closed.
No, they have not closed, and Mr. Harnit's here that can probably speak to it a lot more eloquently if he's, Mayor, if he's able to come up and speak.
If it please the council, I'll explain what my understanding of the situation is.
Right. Yeah, I'd like to hear that, if I get a vote.
So the bonds have sold, they have not closed yet. As I'm sure you all are aware, I had a notice on last week that Mr. Froge wanted on the agenda the removal of the superintendent, that, as well as me to vote for a new chair and removal of council. Those are material facts that change the material facts in the bond offer. They have sold, they have not closed. The attorney issues a letter, an opinion letter, before March 5th. So these are all things that have changed. Bond counsel has indicated to us that this is a game changer, not only on this bond issue, $460,000, but any future bond issues.
For the city
Okay.
and the electric plant board,
For the,
right?
it diminishes our capacity to bond. We are tainted. So it is a big deal. Not to mention the fact that there'll be an incredible amount of litigation when you remove a superintendent for, without one of the 5 reasons, malfeasance, misfeasance, nonfeasance. You can speak to that, I think. But it's the same thing about removing a board member. And the penalties will be severe. The Little TBA Act addresses this. It is specifically designed to be not political.
A question I would ask, and we may be out of order here, but in the bond agreement that the Glasgow Electric Plant Board has, does it specify in that agreement that any changes in the condition of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board warrants this action, that the bonds were not closed?
That is what was pointed out to us from bond counsel, Rubin and Hayes, that this is a material change.
Yeah.
And Moody's, who rates the EPB, pointed out that EPB's management structure and the efficiency of the rate structure is 2 reasons for the very low rate
Refund.
we're getting on the refund. These were specifically identified.
So in this $460,000, as you said, that's just the tip of it. The almost a point
Can't
of,
speak to that, Mr. Goins, because you don't know that to be a fact. We hadn't heard from bond counsel.
I'm asking him a question.
Now that's what bond counsel told us.
So let me repose my question. Would this be something that would snowball, that could possibly be greater than $460,000 in your assessment with the bond? Would you say that's a true
In
statement?
my opinion, that is
Okay.
exactly right, but I'm taking this from what Rubin and Hayes, who is our bond counsel,
Right.
told us.
Exactly.
I think we'll need them, one of those people that's involved in that could specifically tell us why it would change, if it would change.
And Mayor, what I'd like to say is, again, procedurally, we need to start following the right path. There's a lot of things going on, and we need to figure out what's going on before we start making some decisions out of the blue. So if we're waiting on the bond issue folks to come back with their, what would be?
Their
It
assessment.
goes to underwriting.
Yes.
And these are things that have to be presented to underwriting.
Right, and
We have-
just
we have
'cause-
changed the quality of our bonds.
And just because something was in the paper doesn't mean that it might come to reality. We don't know what tomorrow brings. So, I mean, I think we should, unfortunately, we may have to wait until whatever is going to transpire at the electric plant board transpires. And then if we feel we need to make some decisions or some moves at that point, I think that's the proper way. I don't think we should be too far ahead of the process. Will it be painful? From what he said and from the research I've done, there is the potential for pain. But again, that's what that board is for. And I believe once before we've been in an argument about stepping over and getting involved in the board's ability to do their job. So I think we need to, again, unfortunately, wait until the board makes their decision and moves forward, whatever action they're going to take, and then deal with the fallout.
Mayor, may I speak?
Could we ask city council an opinion on that, please?
As I understand the motion that's before this body right now, it's to remove a director on the electric plant board. As most of you recall from 2 years ago, in order to remove a director from the electric plant board, you have to find misfeasance, malfeasance, inattention to neglect of duty or inattentiveness, inefficiency. You have to find those in a due process type hearing. Now, this motion tonight is to remove D.T. Froge as a director without that kind of hearing. It's not my advice that you do that. I seldom will interject, but I felt like that it's important that you understand you have the right to do that, but not the legal right. As this group, you can remove him, and you could do it tonight, but you've got to afford them the opportunities to present their defense and the opportunity for other people to be involved in that for a due process type hearing. Now, you do what you want to do because you've got the votes to do whatever you want to do. But that's my opinion. The second thing is this. Your power, the mayor's power, is to nominate people to you to be appointed to that board. Then you have the right to approve or deny the people on that board. You don't have the right to micromanage the people on that board or to second guess their judgment. If they make a mistake, there is a remedy. If they threaten a mistake, I don't know whether there's a remedy for that or not. But that's certainly things that you all are adult grown people, you can make your mind up. But I felt like I would be remiss sitting here if I didn't tell you that, because I represent the city and all of you.
And we went through this 2 years ago, and still members of this council that tried to micromanage it then, and it didn't happen, based on council's recommendation.
Can I ask you something that maybe would help? If I amended my motion to suspend him, because there's a EPB meeting in between, so if Mr. Frodes, and I have no reason to believe that he's not the liar, but if those three vote him off, there's not gonna be a chance for due process. We already paid, as you said, Baz, we paid $45,000 plus or minus. Last year, we just laid it on the back of the EPB customers because we engaged you and EPB engaged their attorneys. Now we're saying, hey, we could possibly lay another $400,000 on the EPB people's backs, you know, because there's a February 19th special call meeting or a meeting at the EPB.
That is right, February 19th.
Was DT at the last meeting? When I went through the bonds and stuff, just out of curiosity to see.
Well,
And you know,
let me address your question.
Okay. You understand what I'm trying to get to?
I want to take issue with one figure there, $45,000. You have authorized 20 for me, and mine was slightly less than that. But I don't think that the electric plant board was required to pay for any legal for the directors that were involved.
That was not my understanding, but Jeff would know, and if I've misstated, I apologize.
Well,
There was, EPB did have representation, that is true.
the EPP did, but you didn't pay for the representation of the directors.
No, it's paid.
Not individually.
As an entity, is my understanding.
There was, council
But-
and no-council.
But if
Outside of Mr. Harper, there was additional council.
there's no provision for suspending a board member, you can eliminate them or not, and you have the right to do that. But I don't think there's a provision for suspending a board member anywhere. But I think the same criteria would apply. I think you'd have to find a finding of fact before you could. Now,
What's your recommendation for us as a council? I mean,
well,
you know, the
I don't have a vote on this council, and I don't want to impose my will anywhere. I'm here for legal reasons, and would hope to be as neutral as a person could be, and won't take sides on that issue.
Right.
So I'm telling you, I mean, you could remove him tonight, but I don't think it's the right way to go about it.
We don't have a
At the same
legal.
time, Mr. Basil, I have a request for an agenda item that also constitutes an illegal action. If unwarranted, the vote to move the superintendent.
Well, I think that
As
has to be
by the
taken
TDA
up.
Act is illegal
My-
unless it falls under one of those 5 things, and it's gonna be tough.
My position is consistent in that this group does not have power over that. Only those 5 directors have power over that issue. And it falls squarely in their laps. If they do it correctly or incorrectly, they have to answer for that. It's their responsibilities and not this group. I can't, I mean, that's clear in the law. I can't tell you anything different than that.
I have a question. Yeah, I want to clarify something. So the way I understand it, the 400,000 is a potential savings by refinancing the bonds. If we do, or your board does nothing, they will continue like they were and like they have been budgeted. And so it's not an increase in expense, it's a loss of potential expense savings.
Well, actually, there's two bondings. One is a refunding, and the delta between the previous interest rate and the new one will save $460,000 was the number I saw. There is also a new bond issue. This new bond issue covers day-to-day, new poles, new transmission, anything like that. Our policy has been to pay half cash and half with debt. So that's also in play. So it's more than just refunding, but the refunding is just purely savings.
Right. I just want to be sure I understood where the 400,000 was from.
That's my knowledge.
It's already in the budget. The plant board could potentially save money.
Well, I would certainly
By
hate to
doing that.
lose a savings
Right.
of nearly $500,000, but technically, yes.
Okay.
A question, Jeff, what's the closing date in the bond issue? There has to be a closing date. What is that date?
Now, it's March 5th or March 9th.
Okay.
I can't speak exactly to that date.
Okay. And your next meeting for the Glasgow Electric Plant Board, you said is February 19th?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
If it's, I don't know if I asked this to Danny or Mayor, I mean, what if we set up a hearing to go through, because obviously Mr. Frodes hasn't told the truth by what was in the paper. Obviously, he's put the taxpayers at a potential loss of $500,000. I mean, give him his day and time, but, all it takes is 2 or 3 more people like that running around doing that, and we're really in a bad spot.
Councilman Gauss is going to be more than $500,000.
I understand, but I mean,
That's just the tip of it.
I look, it'll be millions and it'll affect our kids and grandkids, I get that, but I'm not to placate, just to say that it's $460,000.
I'll say one thing, from my dealings with DT, I don't think he's going off half-cocked on anything. I know he has his own legal counsel, so
Didn't he think he owned the hospital?
we tried.
Okay. So, he's not always right.
Yeah, but the hospital lost their records, but we won't debate that
Yeah,
here.
I understand.
So,
All right.
Any other questions?
Mayor.
Is
So,
there any further debate on the motion?
no debate, just a note that, excuse me, the council last year, this name came. Mr. Froge was sent by the mayor and the council to the board down there, and he was received by the board, electric plant board. So that's just a note.
Hey, Mayor, can I make a comment? Please.
As to that motion, yes.
Mr. Froze is not, all we can do is read the paper and comments. He's not done anything yet. I mean, until that actually happens, I would hope he wouldn't. I mean, I don't know why he would want to remove a highly efficient, award-winning superintendent of a highly efficient utility, but I guess he's got his own reasons for doing it. But me personally, he has not done anything yet, and that motion has not been made before that board. So me personally, I don't see the reason to warrant to remove him as of right now. I mean, if he does it, then maybe he meets one of the 5 qualifications that our council has said, but he hasn't done it yet.
My understanding, there could be a hearing at that point if that happens. We gotta vote on the motion. No more discussion. We need to vote on the motion for Councilman Gauss. Those approved.
I'm sorry, would the clerk read that motion again? We've had a lot of discussion, and I want to make sure I know what we're voting on.
The motion was to remove DT Froge from the EPB board as a member.
Read it
Thank you.
again.
The motion was to remove DT Froge from the EPB board as a member of that board.
let's ask Mr. Johnson. Patty,
Yes, sir.
your motion was a lot longer than that.
Right.
Is
Well, he
this
had-
an adequate summary of your motion?
Well,
Are
I
you
would
happy with that?
like for it to have, because the essence of the only reason I brought it up is there's $460,000 in play that Councilman Gross I get his point, but there's a meeting in between then, and if he does that, then we will lose that $460,000. That's the paper and what Marlon says or DT says, I wasn't in that room. But what I can know is I've talked to people at DPB, and those bond repurchasing discounts are in play. And if he goes through with his threat, which, as Wendell said, he's usually not lying, he's usually telling the truth or has a reason for it, then I don't have any reason to believe he's not gonna try that at the special call meeting on the 19th. So
So you want everything you just said in the motion?
all I want is he's put the electric plant board at risk at $400,000 that will bear back to the citizens of Glasgow.
As long as everybody knows that there's been a legal opinion too, that we can't legally do this legally, but we'll vote on it anyway.
I think we need to vote on the removal only.
Okay,
That's what the original motion was.
all right. We'll do it.
Would you like to offer an amendment to that amendment?
Yes, sir.
Freddie?
Yes, sir. I thought that's what she read.
But now, his motion was far greater than that.
Yes, sir, I understand.
Get a second on the amendment?
Second.
Got a second? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed?
Freddie's motion or mine?
That was the amendment.
That was the amendment.
Okay.
The amendment is set up, and that's what we're gonna vote on, correct?
Right now, the motion is amended, is that?
What if I want to make an amendment to whatever it is?
No, well, nothing else attached to it.
The motion is that D.T. Froge be removed as a board of director from the electric plant board. All those that,
So mine went away because of that amendment?
That was your motion.
Well, I'd like to include that there's $460,000 at the risk.
That was cut off by the amendment.
Okay, so can I amend his back in? I don't know. Okay, all right, whatever.
let's do a roll call vote, just in case those that are in favor of removing D.T. Froge from the board, vote, please, by roll call vote yea or nay. Or aye or nay, excuse me.
Fennell,
No.
Eubank,
No.
Gauntz,
Yes, ma'am.
Gross,
No.
Honeycutt,
No.
Kirkpatrick,
No.
Lowry,
No.
Neal,
No.
Norman,
No.
Norris,
No?
Trigg,
No.
Witcher,
No.
Motion fails.
Okay.
Let's go on to the next order of business, which is a resolution for application of a grant from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet.
City of Glasgow Resolution Number blank, a resolution authorizing and directing April Russell, Director, Office of Grant Oversight, to apply for a grant from Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Office of Highway Safety, to fund overtime, Lifesavers Conference, and fuel for the police department. Be it hereby resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows: that April Russell, Director of the Office of Grant Oversight, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to make application on the city's behalf with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Office of Highway Safety, for a grant in the amount of $38,121 to fund overtime, Lifesavers Conference, and fuel for the police department. This is a non-matching grant. Be it further resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary in order to make application for said grant. So adopted this blank day of February 2019. Harold Armstrong, Mayor. Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
All those who approve this,
I have a question before we go to the motion.
Okay.
Could we have Mrs. Russell give us a breakdown on that $38,000?
Sure.
Where that money is being used?
Sure, this is a grant that we apply for every year. I believe this is our 7th year in a row that we've had it. We use it for federal overtime. The goal is for seatbelt safety. 10% of whatever we spend each month on overtime money is for fuel, and that is reimbursed back to us also. We are allowed to go to the Lifesavers Conference. The Kentucky Office of Highway Safety that, so they just tack that on to the end, whatever they come up with the cost, they decide what it is, and they go ahead and put that in the grant. Any questions?
So on the, excuse me, on the overtime, then that would be the majority of it?
It is the majority
Okay.
of it, yes. 10% of whatever we spend is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Mayor.
I got the cart before the horse. I didn't have a first and a second on that motion. I got a first from Councilman Gross and a second from Councilman Trigg. All those in favor of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Resolution passed. Next resolution is for application for a grant from the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet to fund Child Safety Seat Program.
City of Glasgow, resolution number blank, a resolution authorizing and directing April Russell, Director, Office of Grant Oversight, to apply for a grant from Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Office of Highway Safety, non-law enforcement, to fund the Child Safety Seat Program travel and training for the Police Department. Be it hereby resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows, that April Russell, Director of the Office of Grant Oversight, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to make application on the city's behalf with Kentucky Transportation Cabinet, Office of Highway Safety, for a grant in the amount of $10,847 to fund the Child Safety Seat Program, travel and training for the Police Department. This is a non-matching grant. Be it further resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky, that Harold Armstrong, Mayor of the City of Glasgow, shall be and hereby is authorized and directed to execute any and all documents necessary in order to make application for said grant. So adopted this blank day of February 2019, Harold Armstrong, Mayor, Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution?
Motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Patrick. Do I have a second?
Second.
A second from Councilman Norris. All those approve of this resolution signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those that oppose signify by like sign. A resolution passes. Next resolution is a resolution recognizing Cheryl Berry Ombach for her services.
City of Glasgow, resolution number blank, a resolution of tribute and appreciation to Cheryl Berry Ombach for her years of service on the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board and the citizens of Glasgow, Kentucky. Be it hereby resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows. Whereas Cheryl Berry Ombach has served on the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board for the past 8 years, and whereas Cheryl Berry Ombach served while maintaining her private law practice, giving of her time working with the other members of the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board for the betterment of the City of Glasgow, and whereas Cheryl Berry Ombach has shown vision and has embodied the high standards of leadership, skillfully navigating the maze of the complexities of the Electric Plant Board, and whereas Cheryl Berry Ombach's term of service on the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board ended effective January 31st, 2019. Now therefore be it resolved by the City of Glasgow, honors and is grateful to Cheryl Berry Ombach for her tireless commitment to serving the people of the City of Glasgow and her outstanding service and willingness in doing so, and expresses sincere appreciation of the City of Glasgow to Cheryl Berry Ombach for her many contributions to the success of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board and the City of Glasgow and all the lives that she has impacted in a positive way. So resolved, this blank day of February 2019, Harold Armstrong, Mayor, Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I hear a motion to approve this resolution? Have a motion from Councilman Gross and a second by Councilman Trigg. All those approve signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like sign. Resolution passes. Have another resolution recognizing Freddie Norris for his service as a board member.
City of Glasgow, resolution number blank, a resolution of tribute and appreciation to Freddie Norris for his years of service on the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board and the citizens of Glasgow, Kentucky. Be it hereby resolved by the City of Glasgow, Kentucky as follows. Whereas Freddie Norris has served on the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board for a number of years, and whereas Freddie Norris served giving of his time working with other members of the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board for the betterment of the City of Glasgow, And whereas Freddie Norris has shown vision and has embodied the high standards of leadership, skillfully navigating the maze of the complexities of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board. And whereas Freddie Norris' term of service on the Board of Directors of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board ended effective December 31st, 2018, now therefore be it resolved that the City of Glasgow honors and is grateful to Freddie Norris for his tireless commitment to serving the people of Glasgow and his outstanding service and willingness in doing so, and expresses the sincere appreciation of the City of Glasgow to Freddie Norris for his many contributions to the success of the Glasgow Electric Plant Board and the City of Glasgow and all the lives he has impacted in a positive way. So resolved this blank day of February 2019, Harold Armstrong, Mayor, Jamie McFarland, City Clerk.
Do I have a motion to accept this resolution?
Motion.
Have a motion from
Second.
Councilman Kirkpatrick and a second from Councilman Benel. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, like sign. The resolution carries. Having no other business, I have some announcements to make. We're still working on the elevator. I was told today that they expected to have it working and have it inspected in the next 2 weeks, give or take a couple of days. Has to go through an inspection process. I think they wanted the volunteers from the city council to come and ride it before they had it inspected, but I didn't think anybody would want to do that.
I nominate Patrick.
Hey, I'll go. I'd like to have a little peace and quiet away from the chaos.
Hopefully, in the next 2 weeks, we'll probably have to come back up here because the inspection process will take a little longer. But we'll have to beg our way back in here again. They've been so gracious to let us meet up here, but we will have the elevator back in gear by the time we meet in the March meetings. So that being said, hopefully it'll speed up quicker. City Hall will be closed Monday, February the 18th, that's next Monday, in observance of President's Day. The Monday's trash will be picked up on Tuesday along with Tuesday's trash, so make sure that you have your Monday trash out early Tuesday morning because they'll be coming around earlier than normal.
Mayor Armstrong, could I make a comment, please? Would that be okay? I just wanted to speak to Mr. Witcher. I was going to sit here and stay pretty silent on this issue, but when you remain silent, then I think sometimes you're supporting things that take place. And I would just like to ask Mr. Witcher, as you're going through your decision regarding the potential vote at the Electric Plant Board, that you take into consideration the impact that that has not only on the community, but on the staff and the men and women at the Electric Plant Board who, in the last 4 years, I've been to many, many meetings there, and the professionalism and the transparency that they have provided me goes beyond anything that this decision, that you take that.
Councilman Larry, can I make a comment? It's highly improper for this body to try to change or influence somebody's vote on a board.
It's not very nice to be cut off in the middle of my sentence either.
Well, you're out of order.
Okay. I'll just do it on Facebook like everybody else.
And walk out of